on, everyone? My name is Matt, and you're watching Demo Reel. And today, I am joined by the lovely and talented Ms. Yasmin Mistry. Yasmin, how you doing today?
Good, thanks for having me here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And earlier today, we premiered Yasmin's film that she made with producer James Boo called America Heard, A Refuge of Hope, an incredibly moving documentary. And if you haven't watched it yet, you're definitely going to want to leave and watch it, because we're really going to talk about it. I'll put a link to it probably in the upper right hand corner of this video. So, you've been warned. If you're still here, we're going to get into it. So Yasmin, how did you find these women, and what inspired you to tell their story?
Well, so it kind of goes back to the original project, which is called America Heard.
Right.
Right after the election, you know, a lot of people had very different emotions.
Of course.
Across the country. A lot of people were surprised.
Definitely.
So there were a number of filmmakers here in New York who they decided, you know, where are these discrepancies coming from? You know, where did, like, what happened?
Right.
So the idea was to do, like, just a bipartisan website where every single congressional district, so all 435 congressional districts could be represented.
Right.
So they wanted a local filmmaker from every district.
Gotcha.
And, you know, there's a lot of us here in New York City, so we decided we could make films from, you know, wherever we're from, especially because it was around the holidays and we were going back anyway.
For sure.
So I'm from Syracuse, New York.
Got it.
And so I really wanted to tell a story that's in Syracuse. And I think it may surprise a lot of people, but Syracuse actually has a really large refugee population.
Right, that was kind of surprising to me too. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be really great to hear, you know, their perspective, especially with everything that's kind of been in the news and some of the Muslim ban and, like, you know, the anti-Muslim, like, rhetoric that's been going on.
Yeah.
And so we really lucked out in that our producer, James, who was hoping to be here today and couldn't.
Yeah. Sorry you couldn't be here, man. Hope you feel better.
But so he jumped on board last minute. I was, like, panicking because I didn't think the film was going to get made. I was like, I'm going home for the holidays in, like, a week and I haven't planned anything yet.
Yep.
And then he jumped on board and it was amazing, and I gave him, like, all my contacts in Syracuse and I said, go for it. And he just started calling and emailing all of these people, and then just it clicked when he called Syracuse RISE, which I believe stands for Refugee Immigration Services and Empowerment, I believe.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
But so he contacted Syracuse RISE and they were like, oh, like, we totally were on board with this. Like, we have a couple women that we think would be perfect for it.
Right.
And he just he did, like, pre-interviews with them, and we couldn't decide who to interview, so we interviewed both.
Gotcha. Cool. I'm sure you've probably already gotten a lot of comments about this saying, like, oh, this is leftist propaganda, liberal snowflakes, you know, insert term here. And, you know, how would you respond to that?
So actually, so far we haven't personally gotten it, but I think a lot of, because it's streaming online, you know, I don't know if I'm necessarily talking to all the viewers.
Gotcha.
But we have done some, you know, presentations, and in those we've actually gotten just really, like, great feedback. But I think for anybody who does think that way, you know, I think we tried to be really objective. We didn't go in there being like, who did you vote for? We didn't go in there asking, like, specific questions. Like, we just tried to be really open-ended and just be like, you know, what was your role? What's your background? Like, how did this election affect you? So we were not asking anything, you know, specific. I actually think it would have been really interesting if we had interviewed a refugee who was a Trump supporter.
Yeah. That would have been that would have been fascinating. I totally would have watched that.
Yeah. So actually that was my intent when doing these interviews, because I knew some people who were Trump supporters who really surprised me, because it didn't seem like it would align with their interests necessarily.
Yeah.
So that was part of why I wanted to do this, because I was like, who knows, maybe they will be a Trump supporter, maybe they won't. Let's find out. So I had no specific intent except for just to get a view, whatever it was.
Right. And on top of that, you mentioned America Heard, the project overall is bipartisan. You know, there's multiple views expressed, and, you know, it's just trying to create a conversation.
Right, and it actually, we were even told, like, if you wanted to talk to people who didn't vote at all, who were just, like, apathetic about it. So, I mean, you didn't have to be on one side or another. You could be independent. You could, I think some people even interviewed people who were out of the country just to see what the response was from people, you know, kind of looking in.
Yeah, it seems cool. It's just trying to say, like, this is what people feel, you know, what can we do about this, that kind of thing. Right. But also, kind of going off that, this is obviously a very sensitive subtopic to so many people. And, you know, tensions are very high. Did that present a different challenge on, like, a psychological, emotional, any kind of other level?
I mean, I think the tensions have gotten a lot higher actually since we released the film.
Right.
So the day we released it, basically, was when President Trump signed the first executive order with the Muslim ban.
Wait, you're kidding?
No.
The day you released it?
Yeah, so we actually like soft released it a little bit earlier, but when we did the final finished piece, it was the day that we released that happened.
Now that is the most ironic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, so, well, we knew it was coming, and so we were doing a push
Right,
to get it,
right,
but
right.
yeah, it ended up being that day.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think tensions got a lot higher. And,
Definitely, I could see that.
Yeah, and we got a lot of traction with the film, but it wasn't necessarily the reason we wanted to be getting
For sure,
kind of
for
traction.
sure.
Yeah.
And like, what were some other challenges with making this film on anything, like technically, whatever?
I think the biggest challenge was time. So the original timeline America Heard had was they wanted to launch on Inauguration Day.
Right.
And they did a very soft launch, but they're trying to now do it in phases because 435 films is
that is
that's
a lot of short films to make. Yeah.
And especially there's not necessarily a filmmaker in every one of these locations, so they've got their own challenges.
Right.
And we're not part of that team. We just contributed to the project.
Right.
But for us, we were trying to make that Inauguration Day goal. And we have our own projects that we're working on too, so it was kind of like this holiday in between time where we're like, okay, we're all on break from other things, so let's try to do it now.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we actually had a student at Syracuse University helping. He was on break and he was helping with the filming. And, we were taking a break from our own personal larger documentary projects. So that kind of combined with the Inauguration Day timeline that we were given, it was just this huge push because I think we filmed 2 days before Christmas.
Really?
Yeah. So,
oh goodness
and
gracious.
we found the girls maybe 2 days before that.
Oh wow.
So it was about
this
3
was
weeks.
this was like shot in like 2 days.
2.5 days of filming.
Oh my god! Wow.
And then Jacob, who was the student at Syracuse University, just did an amazing job.
Oh totally.
We got him last minute through my contacts at the university.
Awesome.
So it all just kind of really came together at the last second. And then it was this huge push to edit things, and then finding like stock footage or the newsreel footage. And having something that was usable, especially with licensing and Creative Commons and stuff, was very challenging.
Right.
So that in combination with the timeline, I think were our biggest challenges.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I guess on a more positive note, what was your favorite thing about working on this film?
I think just meeting the girls and meeting the community. I knew we had a refugee community, a very large refugee community in Syracuse, but I didn't know that much about it.
Right.
So I think getting to interact with these people, learning so much about this community, and just these girls are amazing and they're inspiring. And we're doing a lot of things with other refugee communities in Syracuse that want to show the film.
And that's incredible.
Yeah, so I think we've just kind of gotten connected to this community now, and I think it's just been really eye-opening and inspiring.
And how was their reaction to you making this film and you just kind of talking to them? Were they open? Were they a little worried? All of the above?
Yeah, so the two girls were both amazing. Khadijah, she does a lot of interviews and stuff already, so she was kind of, ready to go.
Got it.
Habiba was just a natural. Our editor was like, oh, she should be the next Oprah.
Oh my goodness.
So they were very open and very willing to chat with us.
Cool.
And the refugee community in general, not just in Syracuse, but in all of upstate New York, has just been so open and excited they've been sharing the film everywhere. The mayor shared it, all these people in Syracuse have been sharing it and really getting it out there, and the Syracuse University community as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Nice. And I guess the very nerdy technical question, what was this shot on? What kind of gear did you use?
So my background is actually as an animator.
Really?
Yeah. So most of my work is in animated documentaries.
Got it.
So James did most of the stuff, and James and Jacob. James is the producer, and Jacob is the DP. So they did most of the talk with the technical stuff.
Cool.
But if I remember correctly, I hope I'm not messing this up, we were originally supposed to shoot on the Canon that James had given me to take up there, and then as it turned out, Jacob was actually shooting a feature film the following week. They gave him permission to use that equipment for our film, and I believe it was a C100. I don't know that much about cameras.
Gotcha. Yasmin, what's next for you? What's on the horizon?
So this was kind of, like I said, a break for me, as well as for James, the producer. We're both working on our own individual large projects.
Got it.
For James, he's working on a series called 1 Minute Meals, and it's a documentary web series about food.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then for myself, I'm working on It's a project called Foster Care Film. It's singular because we thought it was going to be one film.
Cool.
And basically we interviewed a bunch of foster youth with the intent to have their perspectives shared.
Right.
And then we found out that they all really wanted to share. They had a lot to say, and our interviews, some of them went for 9 hours. It was pretty crazy.
Right.
So that couldn't be one film, and we decided to break it up, and we're now making a series of short films. So it's a series of 6 to 8 short films, and hopefully if we get the funding, we're planning on making a feature as well.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so we have a lot of content, and it's going to be a decade in the making.
Well, definitely keep me updated on that. And if people wanted to follow your and James's work, where would they go?
For my film work, it's fostercarefilm.com.
Got it.
And then I believe James's film is oneminutemeal.com.
All right, cool. All right, well, that's about all I got. Yasmin, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you.
No problem. And you all, thank you for tuning in. I really hope you liked our discussion. If you want to follow more of Yasmin or James's work, I'm going to have their websites and everything down in the description. You definitely want to check them out. They are definitely going to be going places.
And I would want to say one more thing.
Yeah. What's up?
This project is for America Heard.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the website's americaheard.com. They have 435 films that they are trying to make from all different places around the U.S. So if there are filmmakers listening to this who want to make a film.
If you guys are inspired to contribute to this, they are looking for more content, guys. And this is very important. You know, they have Demareel's full endorsement for whatever that means. Alright guys, that's about all the time we have. So, thank you for tuning in once again, and you're watching Demareel.